All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Sports Tech Podcast. Recording this basically midnight East Coast, right after Game One. I know Tim's feeling good about his Game One prediction.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Anyone that listened to our last pod about just previewing this series, I went out on a limb and said the Celtics were going to win game one, and here we are. Right. And so I was talking a little bit of smack, and not necessarily talking smack, but just hyping myself up in the group chat. And Yusuf said we could pod right now, so let's do it. So here we are.
Yeah, especially because obviously 2 7-game series back to back. So basically like 14 games in whatever 25 days or whatever like that, like 30 days or whatever, since they were playing basically every other day, but they got 2-day rest and they're back at it.
That's kind of what I was feeling, honestly. Like, and the game went nothing like I thought it would. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're like, because you kind of predict out what you think's going to happen, and we were a good handful of days out. Not that it changed anything, but yeah, I was just kind of predicting ahead, thinking, okay, Boston's been in this rhythm where they're playing pretty consistently. And I was talking about how they were kind of banged up, so a couple extra days off is going to help them a lot. Obviously the Warriors had a lot of days off, which can bring you rust. So that was kind of just, my thought process of, giving the Celtics a chance. If they were going to take one of the two, my thought was they're going to take the first one. So I still am sticking by my Warriors in 7. I think Warriors are going to take game 2, but I want to dig into game 1. That was a wild game. It was a lot of fun. And I know we were talking too about how we were hoping for close games, and that, a 12-point game, it maybe isn't so close, but it was close most. I mean, there's swings,
Yeah.
right? Like, so
I would say yeah, either team was in reaching distance until like obviously like the last 2 minutes though.
yeah, I mean, you felt like the Warriors could have came back at any time if they just started making shots in the fourth. But it was so let's just start from the top. And I know I was saying in the group chat, it was kind of a crazy time for me. I lost power like 20-30 minutes before. It was probably about 8:40 Eastern time. So yeah, about 30 minutes before tip. And I got power back at maybe like the fourth quarter. I went up to like the neighborhood just sports bar that's like right a couple streets down, not too far.
And you said no game audio, right?
Well, so that's the thing. So like this is a place, just to give you, like, I was sitting there, my girlfriend was on the couch, we're sitting here with all these candles lit, and I'm just like, damn it, I got like 15% left on my phone battery because I was not anticipating this. I'm thinking I can't watch the game, like I can't watch the rest of the game on my phone because I still had internet access there. So like I got to go up to the sports bar,
Because of
and
weather or what?
yeah, there was, it just stormed like crazy. Like it started coming down. Yeah, just a thunderstorm. So, but yeah, I looked it up. It was just our street. Like I immediately reported it, and it was just our street that was black. Everything else in the neighborhood was good. So it was a sports bar where I don't even have to like leave my neighborhood streets. It's just right up there. But they just got taken over new ownership. So they used to always put the game audio on, and I used to go watch games up there. Yeah, I've watched other NBA Finals games up there before. Now it's a new owner, and these dummies, man, they were up there just like EDM music. It was just like a club vibe. And I was like, there was this table behind me. Like I was sitting at the bar just by myself. There's a table behind me. Is these guys that are just watching the game, and they're into it as much as I am. Like every shot's going up, they're like, oh, ooh, ooh, because like you said, at a certain point in that second quarter, you're like, this is just like a 3-point shootout, I think, or.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's these guys behind me, and these two bartenders in front of me are just talking about how people are really vibing with their music and how they're really excited and all this stuff. I was like, shut up and put the game audio on. They never did. Anyways, I came back home in the fourth quarter and got to watch that fourth quarter with the game audio, so that was nice. But I was still locked in. But yeah, I missed about the first 6 minutes, and from what it looked like on Twitter and everything, was just like Curry was having wide open shots. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I think it was just a bunch of like miscommunications, like just like off ball screens where two people were going to the screener and one like nobody was leaving nobody was going to Curry. Then I remember another time in transition, it was like similar to the Butler one, but just like nobody picked up Curry like in transition. So he just pulled up from three because he just saw like literally nobody in front of him.
Yeah, and he's Steph Curry.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think he had six threes in the first quarter, which is
Yeah.
crazy because he ended up 7 for 14. I think he was 6 for 7 in the first.
Well,
So
well, he had 21. He had 21 in the first quarter, and he had 21 at halftime.
yeah, exactly. The second quarter was obviously a lull for him, but the team was still playing pretty well. What's his name? Otto Porter. He was making a bunch of shots, especially on the swings when he was pretty much end of the shot clock, last
Mhm.
man to get the ball. He was drilling his threes.
Yeah, he had a couple. So I was looking at the box score once I got back home here, and he ended up 4 or 5 from three. That's the only 5 shots he took was all from three. So you can't ask for much more from Otto Porter from there. Like there's a couple shots even I think in the fourth quarter he hit maybe one of their last buckets. To be honest with you, I don't remember
Yeah,
exactly,
I
but
remember he had a big three in the middle of the fourth to like
yeah.
break their run. But yeah,
Yeah. So I mean, he had a good game, but yeah, like I said, I didn't see that beginning part, but I got to the bar with about 6 minutes left in the first quarter and saw the Celtics were kind of clawing back and staying with it. And so I'm just looking at it, they ended the first quarter down 4 points. And I remember saying to y'all, you and DJ in the group chat, gotta feel pretty good where you're at with your if you're the Celtics,
yeah,
right? And then they
especially
come,
when you're leaving Curry open.
yeah, yeah, exactly, man. Like, and so then they have that second quarter, and the second quarter is still pretty even, but Boston goes in. What do they go in? So 4-6. So they go on up 2, right? Yeah, that's right. So yeah, I was ready to start talking some smack there. To be honest with you, I was like, I was feeling pretty good. They just kind of, I felt like they overcame the rush, and then that's the crazy thing is like I was not feeling good at the end of the third
the,
quarter.
the crazy thing was, it's like Tatum was obviously playing pretty poorly, but like Derek White and Horford were like pretty much carrying the offense like at points, which was like, how sustainable is this? So you're like, okay, maybe the stars, come back to rhythm, but like how sustainable is the bench guys? But then, I mean, obviously it continued in the second half. Bench guys played amazingly.
Yeah, so I don't think I honestly didn't even realize that Tatum had, and I don't want to say a poor game because he had 13 assists, and that's important. But 3 of 17 from the field is not particularly great, especially for him from the field. Um, but I honestly, you didn't really recognize it because there was enough other guys from the Celtics that were stepping up. And mostly Horford and Brown, especially. And I wanted to save Horford for a bit. I don't want to get into him because I felt like he was so clutch in the fourth quarter. So I want to wait till we get to the fourth before getting to him. But really, coming second and third quarter, I thought that it was, and really, I guess, a fair amount of the fourth, Jaylen Brown. And it's funny because you still see it, man. He still struggles to dribble, like. And I
But
saw, I
he
can't.
just loves getting to his spot though. He just like,
Yeah,
it's like an efficient dribble, I guess.
well, so I wish I wish I could remember who to give credit for on Twitter because it wasn't like a big national guy. It was just like a local follow, one of our guys or somebody. But whoever it was talking about how they really liked how the Celtics will have completely different sets whenever it's just Brown or just Tatum that they're trying to get the bucket because they realize that there's a completely different skill set there, even though they're kind of similar size players. And you might think of them as the same type of guy, but Jaylen Brown can't dribble, and Jason Tatum loves to create off the dribble. So, and there was times where like the Warriors were like poking it in at Brown or whatever, and he still managed to like get a good shot or get a good pass or whatever it was. I was kind of impressed. I was like, every time he puts the ball on the floor, I'm like, and it worked out enough times for him. So he kind of kept him afloat. I mean, Grant Williams gave him literally no points. Now that I'm
Yeah.
looking at it, I didn't even realize that. But it was funny too because I was listening back to the pod and we were talking about I totally blanked on Derek White being important and you and DJ brought him up. He was huge this game. I mean,
Yeah, he probably was their second or third best player. Obviously, Horford and Brown um, were the main
I was the
guys.
third leading scorer.
Okay, yeah, he was actually right. Yeah,
Yeah,
I thought
yeah.
maybe Smart had more points, but yeah.
No, no.
Okay,
I mean,
yeah,
Smart had a good game though. I mean,
yeah.
Smart played really well too. But yeah, I mean, Derek White even had more minutes than Smart. Looking at it, he played 32 minutes. He ended up 5 of 8 from three, 6 of 11 from the field overall for 21 points, 4 from the line. So
I mean, they were what? I don't know if we're getting to the fourth now. The
yeah,
Warriors had a 15-point lead in the end of the third quarter. I'm just looking at it now, and Jaylen Brown was leading the comeback. He hit in a couple nice jumpers,
yep,
some key threes. I mean, the Warriors were playing like decent defense. It wasn't like they were miscommunicating or like leaving guys open or like getting bullied or something like that. They were just obviously the Celtics were just hitting shots. I mean, that's what it comes down to sometimes.
yeah. No, and so and you're right. Let's just get into the fourth because we were trying to keep this a short pod anyways. So exactly your point. The Warriors and Steph Curry, mostly Steph Curry in that third quarter, were they got hot. They outscored them by 14 points in the third, and it looked bleak. Like I said, I was not feeling great. I was glad that at that point I was like, okay, I'm glad I didn't talk any shit because I would be regretting it right now. And then the Celtics just go on that run, man. And it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't right out of the gates at the start of the fourth quarter. I don't even remember exactly what the timestamp was. I would need to go back and watch the game a little bit again and see it. But they end up outscoring them in the fourth quarter, 40-16. So blew them out of the water there. But
Yeah.
it really was, I think, right when they got to the 100-point mark is whenever they really went on that run, right?
Yeah, I think it was like 198. I can check that real quick, but they went on an 18-0 run. So, and they were 9 for 11 from threes in the fourth quarter, which is at one point in the fourth quarter, which was insane.
Yeah, so I started putting in our Twitter in our group chat and just like a little bit of the timestamp so I could remember it whenever with that run because and it was if I remember correctly because I remember Horford hit the three. Was it the three that tied it or was it the three that put him up by three? And honestly, so Horford and yeah, to give his final stat line, he led them in scoring. Uh, and you know what's funny? Also to give myself credit, and I literally was listening to our last podcast before we jumped on this, just because I was like, I gotta remember exactly what I said. And we talked about what the X factors were, and you said Marcus Smart, which was a good one, and he had a great game, and 100% right. Although looking at it now, he was -1 in the plus minus.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which honestly is a noisy stat. I don't put too much into that,
I thought
but
he hit some key shots though, especially in the first half. I mean, I
he
feel like
did
everybody was hitting shots in the first half, and he was, played his part.
well, and you're right, and actually, before we get too into this fourth quarter run, I do want to point out something that was interesting that I saw. Give give our guy Nate Duncan credit on this because he was pointing out how he had a tweet about how they were putting Marcus Smart on Draymond and how he couldn't remember if there had really had ever been anyone that had put an elite ball handler, on ball defender on Draymond like that. So that way, whenever they use Draymond as the screener,
Makes sense
um,
because you have like less space to distribute the ball, and you're less comfortable when you're looking around the floor.
well, and it's an easy switch though.
Yeah,
Like if you put Draymond as a screener for Steph Curry, easy switch,
I think there was
automatic.
a lot of pre-switching in this game because I remember like Poole was on the guy that like Poole was on Tatum, and then like they would switch when Tatum would get the screen, so that Poole would get off of Tatum.
Yeah,
So
well, because do
yeah,
you really want Poole on Tatum?
yeah, exactly.
But also shout out to Marcus Smart because I did see even though I didn't have that game audio, I did see on Twitter I stepped outside and at halftime. I was scrolling through Twitter and watching some clips, and I saw the mic'd up Marcus Smart talking about how they got to get up. This isn't the Miami series on the screen. You got to be at the level of the screen. And
Yeah,
there was
that
actually,
was a weird part in the first half where they're, I don't know if you like saw this was part when you missed, but they were playing drop basically.
that
Like
that's what I missed. Yeah. like like seeing some stuff on Twitter, I was like, okay, I kind of understand what's going on here. Cause yeah, like they were just giving Curry wide open shots because they were too far back.
yeah,
Right.
like
Yeah.
especially I think Robert Williams and Horford, they were pretty much on the screen. Basically, they didn't want to get blown by, but like it's Steph Curry.
Yeah, like come on. Exactly. So that was cool. I mean, that was just yeah, fun moment to hear that, and then kind of also see that play out is how they actually stepped up and changed their pick and roll coverage there. And there was even a moment I remember in the third quarter where there was a screen and Robert Williams, it was Smart and Williams on the coverage with Curry as the ball handler, and Curry hit the three. Um, and Williams was just he was just a step too low. And then a possession or two later, like very, very soon after that, it was on the other side of the floor, but it was the same pairing, same situation. And Robert Williams actually got the block on Curry. If you remember, he blocked the three.
Yeah, that's I
And
think that's when like the Warriors were a little bit desperate because they were going down, right? The lead was kind of increasing a little bit. So they were
yeah,
trying to get a three off. They kind of got desperate a little bit too early, but I don't know. I can't blame them. That's like their usual shot selection, anyways.
yeah, I mean, they're chuckers kind of.
Yeah,
But yeah, so and so anyways, but back to Al Horford, because honestly, Al Horford, he's not a guy that shoots quickly typically.
yeah,
Like his three normally takes him a second to get off. And there was a couple of threes that he had. Those two that he had in a row, he had 8 points. I remember. Okay, so wait, I lost my spot here. Okay, here we go. I said 8 of the 14-0 run for the Celtics was Horford. And ended up being 11 of the 20 to 2 run was Horford because he hit another three. But there was two threes and like a mid-range jumper that he hit that were right at the start of that run that were critical. And both of the threes he got off very quickly. And I was shocked because like there's certain things that I watch certain players for, and Horford being a guy that played for the Thunder, like I said, Thunder legend. like and he had some good games for the Thunder,
you didn't even know what
but
number he wore for the Thunder.
I think he wore 42, but I'm not
Okay, he
sure.
just stuck with his number. Yeah,
Yeah, I wouldn't bet on that. but but yeah, I remember watching him, and whenever he had time and space, he would knock down his threes. But if there was any kind of like hurry up on a shot, he was missing it like pretty consistently. But there's a lot of guys that weren't showing up for Thunder games, so he had plenty of times where he had time and space for his threes. So like there's a good sample size, and to me, like that's a big thing. Like I watch guys' feet. If you're on balance, if you're on time, if you're on rhythm, like that's a big part of your shot. So if you watch your feet and then your wind up, and honestly, he looked rush on some of those shots, and they still went in.
yeah.
And so that's something to me that I don't think. I mean, he ended up the game 6 of 8 from three,
I
nine
mean,
of
he was perfect in the fourth quarter, 4 for 4 with two threes.
yeah,
Obviously two rebounds, one assist, one steal, no turnovers, 11 points.
yeah.
The Celtics shot 68% in the fourth quarter.
Wow. Yeah. So I mean, looking ahead to the rest of the series, I don't think you could count on Al Horford doing that again. You know,
Yeah, at least the
seems
shooting part. I mean, obviously he gives the defensive stuff and
yeah,
the rotations and all that.
yeah. Not
But
to
yeah,
say that he's going to have a bad like the he's going to play poorly or anything, but just 6 of 8 from three is
do you remember the lineup in that fourth quarter? Were they still playing two bigs? Were they still playing Horford and was it Horford and Grant Williams maybe? Or maybe it was Horford and
I don't know. That's a good question, actually. That's something I was losing track of actually was the lineups, because I was kind of locked in of like who were they playing together early. That's something I was really watching for,
Yeah.
and then I kind of lost track of it. And honestly, I the other thing I want to mention too is let's not. And he wasn't that key in the final run. Well, he actually was in there a bit for the final for in that fourth quarter. Is Peyton Pritchard.
Yeah.
He gave him almost 15 and a half minutes. He ended up being 2 or 3 from three. They ended up running in the second quarter a hammer play specifically for him, where Grant Williams, I remember, gets the ball coming like downhill down the right, like right lane line, and then swings this like overhead pass to Peyton Pritchard, who is getting hammer screen, and Draymond's closing out on him. Like Draymond read it pretty well and X'd out like the switch on the screen, and Pritchard just knocked it down. And I remember being like, that's one of those guys. You're like,
Yeah.
and he was on Curry for a little bit. He gave him a couple minutes on Curry. Like if he can give him, like we said, those Dellavedova like annoying minutes and be productive. What was his
And he's
final
probably a
line?
better shooter. He's a pretty quality shooter.
He ends up with 6 rebounds and 15 and a half minutes. He ends up with 8 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, man. Plus 14. Pretty good.
Who was the like the plus minus leader?
Plus minus leader was Derek White at
That's insane.
25. 25.
I'm
The
assuming
and
all the Warriors were negative, I guess, by the end of the fourth quarter, right?
well, looking at the other end of it, and like I said, this is a noisy stat. So, but at the same time, within a single game, I do think that there is some reason to this, but it looks like Jordan Poole negative 19. Well, for the Warriors was the worst, and Otto Porter negative 18. Wiggins negative 11, Curry negative 9. So Klay Thompson negative 9.
Wiggins, man, 2 for 7 on threes. And a lot of those were wide open. I don't know if you saw that. A lot of them in the first half were wide
But
open.
yeah, the only people that were positive for Golden State were all the bench players.
Yeah. I mean, obviously Curry had a great game, but
Nobody that played over a minute was positive on the plus minus. That's kind of funny. Like there's yeah. This all of these guys must have came in at the very end because they all have 48 seconds played. Kaminga, yeah, Moody, yeah. What was that? The final possession. That's funny.
yeah, I mean, obviously they were down 15 and they pretty much got it up to like 12 or 15. So
Yeah, that's funny. The regular rotation, every one of them was negative for the Warriors. For what that's worth, Draymond was the closest to being even at -1.
the thing is, like, the stats are like pretty similar, like bench points 32 to 31, turnovers 12 to 14, um, fast break points 12 to 11, but it's just like the 3-point shooting. That's it.
Well, yeah, and so just looking at it because I was mostly focused in on Boston's box, but looking at it, and it's funny. I'm gonna give myself credit again, man. I'm just pumped up on myself right now. But what did I say? I said you need Horford, because I said Horford needs to give you more offensive production than Draymond. And Draymond's final stat line offensively, 2 of
Yeah.
12 from the field, 0 of 4 from three, 0 of 3 from the free throw line, 4 points. He has 11 rebounds. I mean, and 5 assists, 2 steals, no blocks, 3 turnovers.
Yeah. The thing is probably only 5 assists. That's probably,
I mean, the field goals are pretty tough.
yeah. Yeah. Two
Two
for
of
12.
2 for 12 is pretty rough.
The thing crazy
So
part is he took 4 threes.
yeah, I mean that's not his game, and
That's how
I
you know
mean
that, he was like, frustrated a little bit with the offense.
it's interesting because yeah, scrolling back up, Al Horford, they both took 12 shots, and Horford was 9 of 12. There's your game.
Yeah. And I think we had Draymond like as the third best player in the series or fourth best player.
Yeah, yeah.
And Horford
And
was like 10th, maybe.
there it is, man. I told you if they can get Horford to give them more offense production than Draymond, that bodes well. And and I was talking to Nick because he put out a video. The Celtics key he thought was Marcus Smart. He was on your side for that. For him, it came down to Marcus Smart playing well offensively, which he did at this game. We already talked about as well. So the Celtics had a lot of things go right for them. They got to feel good about that game one. The Warriors, I feel like, are going to be refocused. I don't know what changes they
They're gonna be
make.
wondering why they went like basically over in the fourth quarter, which
Yeah,
because they had a lead, they had a 10-point lead, 12-point lead going in the fourth quarter. So,
yeah. I
at
mean,
home, that's something you got to protect.
to me, like with them having the experience that they have, like I get more worried whenever you have a meltdown, whenever you're like, the Timberwolves or something, and it's like your first series. Sorry, DJ, catching strays when you're not here, um, but I mean they've been there, so I don't necessarily expect them to be like, what happened to us? Why did that game? I expect them to come out more focused actually because they blew that lead, and I expect them to, you know yeah, be locked in defensively more than anything because we talked about it. You brought it up. Credit to you, how the Warriors defense has been, I think, the best in the playoffs, right? Or the
Yeah,
second
over the
best.
regular season as well. They were
Yeah,
number one, I think. It was
yeah,
like them and
exactly.
Boston, right neck and neck.
Yeah, so we know that they have it in them defensively. 120 points is a lot to give up at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, they
um,
were averaging what 33 points a quarter. So I feel like they're gonna say offensively we went down, but obviously you can't give up 40 in the fourth
yeah,
quarter.
yeah, and you can't score 16 in the fourth. Like that's just tough. So, I expect them to bounce back. I expect the Warriors to win game two still, and we'll see how it plays out. I don't want to call game three yet, but I got a feeling there. I'm going to keep that one closer to the vest right now. But
I think we can agree that it should be 1-1 heading
it
into game three.
if it feels like if the Celtics somehow win game two, like that they're really punching above their weight class,
Yeah.
because this felt
The thing
like
is, like, you get hot for one game, you won this game, like you're obviously in the driver's seat right now. You took a game off San Francisco.
that's true. I mean, yeah, and who's not to say they can't be hot next game too?
Yeah.
So yeah, but at the same time, it just feels like that game, while there was moments where they let Curry get going, outside of that first quarter, they mostly did a pretty good job on him. And Klay Thompson wasn't hitting. Jordan Poole, wasn't hitting. They did a good job on everyone else for the most part. The only other person that really gashed him was Otto Porter.
Yeah.
Fine, whatever.
I think they'll live with that.
Yeah. I guess Wiggins ends up with an okay stat line, but he wasn't inefficient, 8 of 15, so he shot over 50% from the field, but he didn't hit his threes. To your point, he was 2 of 7 from three, and he didn't really give him much else. No assists, 5 rebounds, some blocks, but he played some good defense. He did.
The Celtics
Um,
played really good paint defense too. I thought the Warriors a few times got blocked at the rim.
yeah, yeah. So we'll see, man. I like Golden State game too, but I like Golden State in seven still. I just think that the experience will hold out for him. But the Celtics made a statement that game one, so if they come out and have another solid game two and get hot at the right time, it could be a totally different series. So
Yeah. I think like what was the over was like 214, 215, something like that. So that definitely hit over. I feel like most people expected a defensive game, and the first half was not really a defensive game. It was more of just who can hit more shots.
yeah, okay, I got the over under right here was 214 and a half.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, that definitely hit.
Yeah. Yeah, they got a bit over that. So, and it was Golden State minus 3.5. So which I mean, that's not a terrible line actually, but
Actually, did they have the line? I'm actually curious for that. I'm sure it's pretty similar, just because they're Vegas would not bet on Golden State losing both games at home.
yeah, surely not. Are you talking about the line for the next game?
Yeah, for Sunday, game 2.
Yeah, hang on. Let's see. Right now, it opened at wow, that's interesting actually. It opened at -4 for Golden State, and now currently it's up to -4.5 for Golden State.
Yeah, so they're expecting a big bounce back.
Over under 215.5, so about the same. Interesting.
So yeah, I guess they don't really believe in hot shooting for lasting for that long for Boston, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, but like you said, both these teams are the top two defensive teams, so
But as we saw, you can also hit shots.
they're both good. Yeah, it turns out these are maybe the two best teams in the NBA, as it turns out. So that's cool. Glad they're playing each other in the finals. It's gonna be,
Hey, like
it's
you
gonna,
said, we got a pretty competitive game for like 45 minutes, so I'm happy about that.
yeah, exactly. It wasn't close at the end necessarily, but you had drama, you had back and forth, because yeah, you had the early Golden State 10-point lead, you had Boston taking the lead back at halftime, you have Golden State blowing it back out in the third quarter. The huge Boston comeback in the fourth, man. That was a classic game. It was a lot of swings, man. I
Yeah.
would love to see I wonder if this is on this app. I don't even know the like win percentage throughout that.
Oh, the win probability.
Yeah,
I'm
right,
sure it was like it's got to be in the 80s for Golden State in the third.
right. Is that on the ESPN app? Let's see.
Yeah, dude, it got up to 96%. They were up 87 to 72
Yeah,
for Golden
so
State's favor. That's wild.
yeah, exactly. So no, it was fun. It was fun. It didn't disappoint. So hopefully we can get every game with that much excitement and maybe even a little bit more excitement in the final 3 minutes. So
Yep. We need some clutch minutes.
yeah, exactly. Please. Next game, let's just add a sprinkle of that NBA, and then we got a perfect game, really.
All right, probably see you Sunday night, Monday night, something like that. I think there's a break in between third game. I think it's Sunday, Wednesday, right? So we got time. We got times either Sunday night or Monday night to record. We'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you guys for listening. We'll see you after game 2.